welcome here to more TALKFCB, and welcome back to the channel, guys. Coming up for you today is full reaction from Ronald Koeman's press conference ahead of what promises to be, once again this weekend, in La Liga, an absolutely crucial weekend. In today's conference, Koeman was indeed asked about the team's form, about the challenge ahead playing Real Sociedad tomorrow, and also about the early talks that he'd had with Joan Laporta. He was also asked about Erling Haaland, and we do have an update on the recovery of Ansu Fati. It's all coming up in today's video, so let's get to it. But first of all, with eyes on tomorrow's game, big game for Barcelona. They're heading to the Anoeta. Koeman said this will be the third time that we face Real Sociedad this season. He said they're a really strong team. He said, I think they're one of the best teams in the league. He said both of our previous games, they were very interesting games. He said there was a lot to analyse from those matches. He said they press very high. They're a team who are really good at doing that. He said, I think they have a very good coach. He said it's going to be an interesting game from a tactical viewpoint. He said we're going to have to be at our very best, not only with the ball, but as we've been doing recently, without the ball as well. That is going to be crucial. And as we did discuss last night on TALKFCB, Ronald Koeman was asked there about the words of Jordi Alba yesterday, who basically said that Laporta's arrival had really given the entire squad a boost, that the feeling was really good, and they were happy to have Joan Laporta as president of Barcelona. Koeman there said, just like I've said before, he said, I've always said it's very important for the club to have a president. That's really vital for all of us now. He said we can look towards the future. He said it's important to have that stability, but he said still, my job doesn't change. He said I want to focus on the performances. I've got to keep getting the results. We have to stay on the path we've been on. Koeman was then asked indeed about his relationship so far with the new president Laporta. Has he had a chance to speak with him? And if he did, what exactly was discussed? He said, well, during the international break that we have coming up, he said we are going to have a bit more time there. We'll have less training sessions, so there will be a little bit more opportunity to speak with Laporta. He said then we're going to use that time to talk about the team, to talk about the club. He said, of course, about signings. He said we're just going to use that there to get to know each other a bit better. But Koeman was asked indeed about that speech from Laporta, about the fact that when, of course, he was addressing the entire world, really, in his inauguration speech, that he particularly singled out Ronald Koeman. I said it was very important there, the fact that he said, you know what, we are backing you. Quite clearly there, confidence right now is with Koeman. Koeman there was asked whether that was a help to him. He said, yeah. He said it is important for me doing my job to feel that support from the president. He did say, after the game in Paris, Laporta actually told me that I had his full support then. He said, but of course, he said he told me I've got to continue getting those results. So quite clearly there, Laporta is not hanging back. He is still putting that pressure that we need on the coach to keep doing these good things. But Koeman said, hopefully, we can work together for a long time. Koeman was also asked there about the words that we have discussed from the outgoing temporary president, Carlos Tusquets, who came out in the week, as we discussed there, about the fact that Koeman really did show the club a lot of loyalty, a lot of determination there, and the fact that he was willing to help the club, whatever it cost him, and he deserves credit for that. He said, yeah, I have talked a lot over these months with Mr. Tusquets. He said, I thank him there for his words. He said, we as coaches and the players too, he said, we got to understand the difficult economic moment the club is in, and I've always said that I'm available to help in any way that I can. But again, he said, the most important thing for me is getting these results, and that the fans, that they're happy with me. Koeman was then asked about the aspirations in terms of not only La Liga, but also the upcoming Copa del Rey final. Does Ronald Koeman believe that Barcelona can do the double this season? But again, I think Koeman, he was managing those expectations, trying to remove as much pressure as he possibly could off this team right now. He said, I don't really like talking about achieving the double. He said, I don't think we really need to go into that conversation right now. He said, because everything can change so quickly. And I think he did hit out a bit here at the media. He said, a few weeks ago, we were a bad team. He said, we couldn't win anything. He said, and now we're not. He said, it's not that simple. He said, we must continue our work. We must go day by day, game by game, and we will see where we end up. And speaking indeed of Joan Laporta, and speaking of those meetings to come where signings could be discussed, of course we do have to talk here about Erling Haaland. Just to give you a bit of the background story coming into today, this was the headline that was produced this morning by Sport. As you can see there, it says Haaland contact, and it basically talks there about how Laporta has already started conversations, according to Sport there, with Haaland's inner circle to determine basically whether a deal can be done this summer, and that does include conversations early on with his agent, Mino Raiola. Now, Sport go on to say that Raiola apparently told Laporta that any deal for Haaland this summer, it would be very difficult, it would be economically challenging, but that it would not be impossible. And of course that prompted here the journalist to ask Koeman what he thought of Haaland, would he like to have him in his team? And this is his response. First of all, he sort of smiled. I think Koeman probably anticipated this question was going to come at some point. There was a smile there. He said, I don't think it's the right time to be discussing a player that doesn't belong to Barcelona. He said, out of respect not only for his club, but also the players that we have here right now. He said, I know there's a lot of talk about new signings, especially there with the new president. He said, but I don't want to get into that conversation right now. We have to focus on our own games and the players that we have in our team. He said, next season, we'll see what happens. There was also an interesting question there, once again, just as it was in the last game, regarding Frenkie de Jong and Lionel Messi, who still remain just one booking each away from a suspension. And with the Clásico not too far away, this is becoming now a little bit nervy. Because right now, if de Jong and Messi there receive that booking in this coming game against Sociedad, they would miss Real Valladolid. But if they're not booked against Sociedad and they were booked against Valladolid, they would then miss El Clásico. Koeman said, we all know that they're only one card away from a suspension. He said it is what it is, using the words there of a very famous man. He said hopefully they won't get booked and they can continue playing, but he said if they do, we will find replacements. Although of course, they are key players and that is not easy. But what I would say there is both de Jong and Messi, just be careful. In an ideal world, we wouldn't want them missing for any game. Finally though, Ronald Koeman there was indeed asked about Ansu Fati. It was the very final question of the press conference, and he was asked there basically the fact that we've heard no news on Ansu Fati. We were all expecting him originally to be back by now. It hasn't happened. There's been rumours in the media there about a setback. What exactly is the situation right now with Ansu Fati? And Koeman, I think here, was refreshingly honest. He was quite straightforward there in his answer. He said it is true that it has taken a little bit longer than we was expecting in the beginning. When he first had the operation, we were expecting him to be back by now, because yes, he said there were a few issues which caused that delay, but he said now he's working well in the gym, he's feeling good, and in a few weeks' time he'll be training outside once again. But the most important thing, especially given that he's such a young player, it's that he comes back when he's 100% ready, and we don't want to put a time scale on that. And so those there, guys, worthy words indeed ahead of Real Sociedad against Barcelona this coming Sunday. It is going to be a really, really big game. It's going to be a test for us. We are going to need to play at our maximum to get the 3 points from this game, which of course we'll need if we want to continue challenging for that title. Please do let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below from what we've heard from Koeman today. I will have the full match preview coming up on TALKFCB with everything ahead of this game. I'm excited for it, and I'm hopeful, and I'm really, really glad that all of you guys are joining me. I will see you soon, but until next time, as always, Visca El Barça!